Hello, welcome back to the Psychedelic Art Exchange channel. We're back again to talk about the latest edition of our Collector's Showcase auction, which is open now until Thursday, July 17th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. As always, there are so many amazing items in this sale, so many that we've never seen before, and way more than we can even talk about right now. But we're excited to show you what we can. So let's get started.
Yes, the highlights of this sale are something, including the first up, which is a poster that we've never sold or seen been sold or auctioned before. An authentic, original Grateful Dead poster from 1971, and it's a beauty. It's today's theme, if anything, is that sometimes simpler designs and more more of the posters that steer away from the wildly psychedelic stuff that we generally focus on, which catches our eyes. But this is a classic letterpress poster for the Dead in 71, when they were kind of finding their roots again. They were getting back to that whole country blues, Americana folk feel in their music. And yeah, this was right around the time just before Skull and Roses was released, and that sort of gave the fans an understanding where the band was at the time. And it was a lot different than Live Dead, which was their last live album. So yeah, this is the lead item for a reason. We expect the heavy Dead collectors to come out for this for sure.
Scranton Catholic Youth Center.
I mean, Scranton, PA. It's not much of a town. I mean,
No,
is that where we went for the Peach Fest? Is that
we've
yeah
spent some time there. Yeah,
yeah?
it's an
I
interesting place.
It was like a kind of a depressed central Pennsylvania town that used to be a hub for electrical or coal or something like that, and it was kind of desolate. But then we went to that kind of great and awful festival a couple times. It was
For
at a
several years, yeah.
yeah, it was at a water park and a pavilion, and it was kind of nasty, but the music was always
Always great.
fire. Anyhow, Scranton, PA, and the
Yeah,
Dead.
yeah, yeah.
And again, we have a poster that is, the design is simple, certainly, but the performance and the band is anything but. This is Led Zeppelin on their first American tour.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we've talked a lot about Boston Tea Party posters and how like special that venue was for that time in rock and roll history. But the the thing about this one is, I guess they added a show that's not listed there because there was so much demand for those first three shows. And that last show is sort of remembered by the band as like the show that sort of started their success in America. And they only had like one album's worth of material, but they played for 4 hours and they busted out like Elvis covers and Beatles covers, and they just played and played. And it's kind of amazing. I mean, that's rock and roll history right there.
Yeah, yeah,
They
that's
just they just put out a documentary, earlier this year, becoming Led Zeppelin, sort of about this time in the band's history. So, you know, if you want to know more, then I can tell you here. Check that out. But this is very cool.
yeah, this is a definite time machine stop. But yeah, Zeppelin. I mean, it really, what more can you say? And they took the genre of rock and roll further than anyone did, and I think they, were the high point in some ways. Obviously, yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah, so, and there's often recollections that this venue was a favorite for bands to play, including the Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
We have a mounted handbill. Again, a simple design, but it's Velvet Underground from '69 at this venue that they loved. And, these just don't come up. We were lucky to land on a collection, and it's been, a lot of fun selling the stuff, and it's had a lot of activity.
Yeah, we sold a few from '67 of the Velvet Underground at the Boston Tea Party when they were still, with Andy Warhol. This is a little bit later. This was after John Cale left, the year that they released their third album, their self-titled album. And it's still great. They loved playing in Boston. I think they felt like they were more of a Boston band for many years than they were a New York band.
They were an East Coast band. Again, with how they were received on the West Coast, at least initially, it wasn't with open arms. But yeah, what a great story.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Velvet Underground, Boston Tea Party,
Yep.
and so here we have another incredibly kind of early and fun piece. This is a 1962 Beach Boys poster for this surf fair. It was an industry event where they were selling surfboards and stuff like that. But I mean, this is
Yeah. They're
what a
not even the main focus of that poster. Like they're just in the little corner there.
yeah. And was it like a month after their first record, or it's right in there? It
Yeah, I
was
mean, yeah, they had just formed the year before. This was so early, and they wouldn't. It wasn't until the next year that they'd have their like sort of first mainstream hit with "Surfin' USA."
Yeah, well, yeah, Surfin' Safari was released in October of '62, a month and a
Two
half before
months,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the Beatles' "Please Please Me" didn't come out until what is it, March of the next year. So I mean, just to give you a
It's
timeline.
funny that's behind me.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, and then there was that quasi competition between the Beach Boys and the Beatles that was just pretty. They were each pushing each other forward in different ways, and
yeah,
we just lost Brian Wilson, who was really the whole creative genius behind the Beach Boys. They had other, parts that could do the jobs, but it was Brian, and he was just one of these mystical kind of damaged characters who created such incredible art. And there's been a lot of really touching stories that have come out since his death, and some amusing ones like his obsession with the song "Shortening Bread." I mean, this is he was like obsessed with it. He wanted to record it. He talked to Iggy Pop about it and John Lennon, and he tried to get Alex Chilton to record it. He was just yeah. I mean, that's part of how it was part of his specialness. But I mean
it's one
that
of my favorite things that I've learned about since his death. And so many different people in my life have come to me and been like, "Did you know this story about Brian Wilson?"
I mean, that was
it's really funny.
I mean, this was in your education. One of the things that I tried to get through was the Beach Boys, at least Pet Sounds. That was something that I drummed into your head at a young age. But
I listen to that album all the time still and always have. I don't know. It's one of those albums that like, and I'm really not like this with a lot of things, even with as much music as I listen to, where I'll listen to it, it'll end, it'll start over, and I'll listen to it again just because it's like, whoa, there's nothing else like it.
yeah, it's a big one. And so yeah, 62 Beach Boys, don't sleep.
Amazing. Yeah.
And again, just here we have a couple examples of cardboard posters that are in the sale, and they're beautiful in their own way. Again, they're not highly illustrated, but this is the legends of rock and roll. Fats
Mhm.
Domino. I mean, this guy was, he was one of the innovators. He was it. I mean, New Orleans cat. He had it. I mean, Fats Domino was really, he was New Orleans. To have something like this is a lot rarer than you would think. These cardboard posters are way rarer than any of this paper stuff from,
Mhm.
it wasn't meant to be saved and barely survived. And this is a great looking
It's
piece.
so classic rock and roll.
Yeah, I
I
I I,
love that.
I love this
And
poster.
from Oregon, which is like a little rare.
Yeah, I mean, well, and Oregon had the cardboard thing going on. That was one thing about Oregon, and Seattle. The
Hmm.
cardboard thing stuck for whatever reason. I don't know. When the rest of the world was, going to thinner paper and lithographs and all that, this was still happening. Anyhow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
haven't
and
seen many of those.
and the hits keep coming. We have now Ray Charles in 63. I mean, it was Mess Around came out 10 years earlier, but his first album was like only a year before this. But yeah, I mean, he's only one of the Bills on this poster, including Dave Brubeck. Yeah, so
Yeah, very cool. 63. That's the year
yeah,
you were born.
it is the year I was born. This is old. Oh,
Oh, that's
oh,
you.
it's old. Oh, Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and the last thing, like, one of the founding fathers of bluegrass music, Ralph Stanley. We have his signature on this festival poster, like a bluegrass festival from, oh God, what year is it? This is
Early 70s. It's a
yeah.
little bit unclear. We pegged it as around 71 or 72, I believe.
Okay, and it was this Goins Brothers Bluegrass Festival, and bluegrass was not, um, that big a deal. It was a pocket, and but it's always hung around.
Hmm.
And bluegrass, through the whole Grateful Dead thing, they were turned on. Jerry was a bluegrass banjo player, and now with bluegrass is cool again with Billy Strings and all these, the String Dusters, all these wonderful jam grass and straight ahead grass bands. It's this, and so this is again founding father Ralph Stanley.
Very, very special and very, very cool. And there's a bunch of signatures on there from various performers. Can't find another example of this existing anywhere else, so that's pretty much one of a kind right there.
Yeah,
Um,
I would have to say that you'd have trouble replicating this piece.
Yeah, and I mean the same goes for pretty much everything we showed you. I mean that was such a cool little like trip through rock and roll history that we just kind of unintentionally did with this auction. And there's so much more too. There's 52 lots. We've got all kinds of cool stuff you may have seen before, but a lot that you haven't. It's only available in this collector showcase auction, which again is going to close on Thursday, July 17th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The links for everything are in the description. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks again.